wasn't that what the case was? They either were going to charge her with, they overcharged her. Isn't that what the whole thing was? Because the jurors said
I didn't
later.
follow it. I'm not
I
sure.
have an interview with a juror that I'm going to read, but I think that's what the case was. They didn't have like a lesser
Yeah, you
conviction.
have to charge right, because if you charge first degree murder and prove, oh, well, it wasn't first degree murder, but there's no other charges to say, well, it was
Right.
manslaughter
I believe
or
that's what
negligent homicide or something like that.
that's what happened with her. They like overcharged her and then didn't give them a lesser charge to go back on. Yeah, I believe that's what that was. But there is an
Yeah.
interview from the juror that I have, and
Because I truthfully don't think she did it on purpose, but it was how she acted after. Like, why did she hide? Why didn't she call 911?
yeah, but
That's
she wasn't
all
even
that
broken
runs through
up
my head.
about it either. Like if she did it,
No, she was going out to nightclubs.
yeah, and if she did it on an accident, like let's say she, given her Benadryl or the chloroform, whatever it was, and she was waking up and whatever. If she really loved that, she would still be heartbroken and trying to, resuscitate the kid, call somebody, not just be like, oh,
Hmm.
I'm just gonna let you see, dispose of her in the woods now. And it would kill her to think that her daughter's out there and not being buried properly, and you know what I mean. It would just,
I think she just wanted to live her life, and the baby was
yeah, she had
getting
no,
in the
but
way
she
of
didn't
that.
have any remorse. So I don't even know if she did it accidentally, because if she did it accidentally, I think she would have way more emotion
Right.
if she really
Yeah.
loved that
Yeah.
kid. Hi, Denise. Um, yeah, I don't know. Something's wacko. But oh yeah, we're gonna do Casey Anthony tonight. So I have her texts from, who are her texts from? Let's see. These are from her and Anthony. Let me see, make them bigger. From, what is this? July of, oh wait, Casey was, okay, wait a minute. That's when she went missing. She was born in, Caylee was born in 2005. So this was right before her arrest, because her arrest was 7/16. Hi, Megan Els. 7/16/2008. So this is Anthony that she's texting with. But it says, it's so weird. What is the William and Jenna? What the hell is that about? Mama, David. Oh, I guess. Hold on a minute. This is listed. Oh, these are her incoming. Sorry. These are incoming texts from everybody. Okay. Now I got it. So someone named William on 7/12/08 says, if I get everyone together for tonight, are you down to have fun? And then someone named Jenna on the same day said, are any of the DBC boys or other people that normally working tonight? And then Jenna says to her, I need some boy advice. Someone not available, applicable. Hi, Cato. How are you? I'm so glad you're on tonight, Carolyn. YouTube sucks if you aren't on. Oh, thanks, Megan Els. Thank you. I'm on usually on every night, Megan Els. Really. One of my moderators used to always say, you going live tonight? Right? And she'd say, what am I talking about? You're live every night. Yeah. I won't say who it is. Yeah. But yeah, so let's see here. Then we have Mama. I love how she calls her mother Mama. It doesn't seem like, are you coming home today? Yeah, I know. Are you coming home today? And so Cindy Anthony is asking her 7/12, are you coming home today? David Cox, what you up to, babe? Mama again, 3 question marks. She's not answering her, obviously. David Cox says, F the boyfriend. I got a hotel in Cocoa. Ha ha, party up, shorty. So Cocoa Beach, and that's where supposedly Zany took Caylee, right? Last night I didn't get your notification. You almost died. Girl, you got to get into Slack, and then you could come into a Zoom. Okay. Chris Stutz says, hey, you. Then also 712, David Cox again. Was that rude? LOL. David Cox, LOL. It was sarcastic. Chill out. What are you up to tonight? Then William, same date, 712. Back booth tonight. 80s retro dancing tonight. It's on. Then Jenna says, I don't think I'm going to because no one wants to work it. Jenna says, I think I'll hang out with Hickey when he's done with the meeting. Ha. Someone named Drew Heyman. I just left from a meeting there. Then Sean Hickey, just getting out of work. I'm about to head to a meeting. You? William. Will I am. Let me know about Tom, because I'm going to get an early set in. It was nice to hear from you, Frank. Plans tonight? So she had a lot of people messaging her, right? 712, Jenna, incoming, Anthony Lazaro. And then he just leaves the number. Then you have Jenna, any news from the boys? Jenna again. Hickey just texts me saying he still wants to hang out, but he has to take care of business first. Will I am. Hey, sorry to text you, but we are going to Vixen. Hit me up in the morning. I will see there. I am leaving sunup. Hit me up when you wake up. I have friends that have a house on the beach. So he's talking about Cocoa Beach. Jenna, whatever that means, Jenna, I think I'm going to go to bed. I've been staying up a while now. Jenna, ha, you too. Then this NA says, new message from Cindy. Go to MySpace. Reply stop to end alerts. New message from Cindy. Now, that's her mother. Her mother, maybe she, and now Mama is again and says, okay, so I guess Casey responded to her. I think she hadn't, right? So that now Will I Am says, you looked sex. Will I Am says, get your butt up and grab your board. John Wilson says, hey, how are you? Now this is 7:13. This is 3 days before she's arrested. Then Will I Am says, I am hungover. We're going to IHOP later. Then we're going to find some new spot to play in the sand with our cars. It'll be a fun day. Get off but I'll buy you 5 of 50 F. I don't know. Will I Am. 50 full throttles. The heck? Will I Am. Well, okay. If your plans don't work out, I would love to hang out. Mama. Last minute? Question mark. Mama's getting mad. This is when Cindy's getting really, really mad, when she's going to call the police about the car. Remember, the 911's coming up, right? Okay. 7:13. New message from Brett. Go to MySpace. I guess that's how MySpace used to give. I was never on MySpace, but anybody that was, that's probably how they gave alerts when somebody left you a message. And a new message from Brett. Will I Am. Bring Amy's car over. I'll take off the tint. Okay. NA, new profile. NA, new message. Those are MySpace things. Chris Stutz, nothing really. Then again, more MySpace messages. One from William, one from Brett, another one from Brett, another one from Brett. Then Mama, Cindy's angry at 7:14. Remember me? She says to Casey. Chris Stutz. Were you running this morning? Right, isn't this the guy, right, that says she was running this morning? He saw her. Remember, he told the officers, and he said, like, how could that have been her? She said, like, she had a job or whatever, and he saw some person running. Then he says, oh, never mind. I thought I saw you. But he said say you, but that's what it meant. Will.i.am says, hey, I am going to be picking up tickets for all 3 shows this month. Let me know if you want any. And when are we going to go to Universal? Will.i.am says, so I am going to run when I get home and then up to Hob to pick up tickets. Let me know if you want to go. Mama, again, says, can you call me soon? I'll be going to bed soon. Jenna, scoops tonight. Oh my gosh, there's those scoops. That can't be scoop me like that, right? Scoops tonight. That would be a long time before. That would be a really archaic term if it was okay. And I think scoops was a place to go to. But that's funny though. Okay, message MySpace from Cindy. Then Amy Hugh says the flight is in at 11:30. I'll call in the morning. Then another MySpace alert from William. Then Jenna says on Friday. Then Andy France says, what up? This is 7:14. Now we're 7:15. Anthony Lazaro. Okay, how do I put a picture on my headline? Will.i.am. Good morning, cutie. Why? 'Cause you have to give Amy's car back. What's wrong with yours? You know I can pretty much fix anything. Anthony Lazaro. That's too long. Anthony Lazaro. That, and I want to show my friends. Will.i.am. New cars are swell. So sorry to ask or bug you about it, but what the heck do I have to do to get some time with Casey again? Or do we just become MySpace texting buddies for years and become old and forget what you look like? Or just not ruin our friendship because you are taken? You can't hurt my feelings. I lost that a while ago. I bet we could have fun. It seems like you like doing everything I do. Oh, we went mudding first night. It rocked. Thanks, man. So at the airport, oh, this is Amy. So at the airport, no Ricardo. Erica says, for sure. Jamie says, I haven't received my work. Then Jamie Lynn says, hotel and Orlando. Will.i.am says, nope, nope, nope. I don't think I can leave, man, and it sucks. I want to see you too. If I would have known I wouldn't have hung out with for this long, I would have tried. Will.i.am. To squeeze more tackles and more fun on those 3 days. Jenna. I don't know, I'm guessing no. Jamie Lynn. Okay, yeah. Erica. Well, Drew said they're doing a different night for those people. Jenna. Okay, I'm thinking we're not going to be as revealing, LOL. Erica. Well, thanks for looking out. Jenna. Okay. Then Erica. Did you hear Jamie got Jenna and I both sick? LOL. Both of us are running fevers. So let's see. Both of us are running fevers. Drew Heyman. Free for what? Will.i.am. I have a question. Will.i.am. Well, at least I am good for something. Erica. LOL. Yeah, well, hopefully Friday we all feel better. Drew Heyman. Yeah, we could sit down later around 6. We're looking at houses now. Will.i.am. You said, shoot, what's wrong? Will.i.am. Says 11 the time I can hang out with you as a friend, just one that is attracted to you, or are you just worried and it's not right? This is Will again. I thank you for your comment on MySpace, but why did you write that if I nag you all the time to hang out, we never get to? I am not going to lie. You are in my thoughts. You are in my thoughts. Before I forget, we are having a water balloon fight and a keg party soon. Then he says again, William, okay, cool, that's awesome, no biggie. Anthony Lazaro, you picking up 3 tickets? Anthony, I was just asking. Cassidy, no, what time are we going? She says, and this is Grund, Jesse, is it Jesse Grund? Yeah. Just wanted to tell you I am moving away in a month. Also, Josh is having triplets. Wow.
Yes.
Go, Josh. I guess, Jamie Lynn, I guess Erica and I both want to be at the door. Erica, this is what Jamie said to me. She is making me mad. I think she means mad. Erica, forward. I know I'm going to dress nice, just maybe not the same outfit, but I'll still be nice. Today, that's it. Then we can do, because I work the next 2 days, the whole day. About 5. Then here's Cindy again, 7:15. Call me ASAP, major problem. Erica, so are we going to meet today? Mama, call me. Erica, hold on a minute. There we go. I don't know what that did. You, me, Jenna. Then Mark, okay. Then Jamie Lynn. Wednesday 9 to 5, Thursday and Friday 12 to 8. Then Amy. I think the Zoom just ended. Did the Zoom end? No, the Zoom didn't end. No, the Zoom's okay. I don't know what that was. It's not, I must have put down the wrong address because it came back there. I'm just having it sent to the boys' house. Then another, no, this is an NA message. It's AT&T, payment confirmation, bank account debited $574.60 on 7/15 and successfully posted to account. Wow, that's a hefty phone bill, isn't it? $574 back in 2008. That's crazy. Okay. Anthony Lazaro. It says incoming, and he just puts the dots. Andy France. What you up to? Will I am. Well, if things are cool, be safe and all that jazz. Erica. Hey, did you call? Now, this is 7/16. This is the day she gets arrested, right? Okay, 7/16. There's a MySpace from Mr. and Mrs. Graff. Then a MySpace message from William. Okay. Here's Anthony Lazaro. 7. Where is Caylee? I don't know. Are you serious? When did you find out? Anthony. Why wouldn't you tell me? Of all people, I was your boyfriend that cares about you and your daughter. Doesn't make sense to me. Why would you lie to me, thinking she was fine and with your nanny? I don't know what to say. I just hope your daughter is okay, and I'm going to do whatever I can do to help your family and the cops. Anthony, who is this Zanny nanny person? Anthony, are you home? See, I don't remember this from the trial. Like, the trial was so long ago. This really helps seeing what Anthony says. Where did you drop off Caylee the last time you saw her? Anthony, where? This is all Anthony. Have told and showed the police the apartment. And then he says, yeah, no shite, this is serious. Why wouldn't you say something sooner about this to anyone? Yeah, and then that came in again, that same post. And then he says, oh, and why are you texting me and not calling? Now Jesse says, I don't know what's happening, but for what it's worth, I am here for you, Case. Parents and I are praying. And then Mark says, good morning, love. Jamie Lynn says, call me. I'm worried ill. No, I'm worried ill. I'm worried. Call me. I'm worried. I'll help in any way I can. Krista says, what? With a question mark and exclamation mark. And then Jamie Lynn says, can I help in any way? Please let me know. I'm ready for anything. I'm here for you. AG Money says, what? Caylee is missing? She has been for 32 days? And then Matt Crispy says, is this serious? I mean, I had lunch with you since then and no mention of it. And then he says, okay. And then Jamie Lynn says, I will help in any way. Please don't hesitate to call me. I'm here for you. I don't work today, so you can call me for anything. I'm home, Jesse. 32 days? Is that a misprint? See, now, this is telling you a lot. Hi, Nora. These are her friends, and they're telling her, like, what the hell? Your daughter's been missing for 32 days. You've been going out with us. You've been having lunch with us. You've been acting like nothing's wrong. So they know and they see it, right? That something's really wrong. Come on. Okay, how could a jury see this and not think, but see, that's what I said. It's just, we're going to go back on that and what they did wrong with the charges and stuff. Yeah. Okay. Then again, NA, it says, Caylee is missing, wants to be friends. Caylee is missing. I think that's the page they made. And then Jenna says, is that your daughter? Jenna says, OMG, where was she last? Then Jenna says, so you know that she's with the nanny, but the nanny might be trying to keep her. How old is she? Jenna says, so she can talk and stuff, which is a plus. Did she say something that made it sound like she wasn't coming home? Then Jenna says, have you tried to track the number they called on? Then Erica says, hey girl, I heard what happened. Does your nanny know where she is? Jenna says, was it a cell phone? You could try to get the cops to listen in and track it. Then Jenna says, wow, when you talked to her, did she say what she has been doing or anything? Jenna then says, so they called to let you know she's okay, but they don't tell you where they are or anything? Then Jenna says, when you asked Caylee where she was, she didn't know at all? Then Erica says, she won't give her back? Then Jenna says, did you try asking if she knew who she was with? Jenna says, dang, and I guess they called from a blocked number. Have you talked to the nanny? Then Jenna says, which was yesterday. Then Jenna says, okay. So the other call was the nanny? Did you know her well? Erica says, we are here. If you need us, we want to come over. If you want us to come over, we can. Jenna says, that's crazy. Then Jenna says, did she say anything that would imply that she wanted a child of her own before they ran off? And then Jenna says, so it's unknown why she'd go away with Caylee or where she would go, sad face? Then Jenna says, well, if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. Then you got Brittany. Caylee is missing? Brittany, OMG, what happened? I'm so sorry. Then, shite, Casey, I'm so sorry. How are you doing? Then the NA, new message from DidPix. Brittany says, how the hell she just up and one day decided to take her? If you need anything, please don't hesitate to ask. Now, Malika James. Wait, is your daughter really missing? Brittany, No problem. Then you have new message from Heather Nicole, and somebody wants to be friends. Then Brittany, is there anything I should keep a lookout for when I'm here, a particular car or anything? Brittany, girl, I'm really going to try my best to watch out. Erica, are you going to put out an Amber Alert? Mark, friendships are like peeing your pants. Everyone sees you, but you're the only one that gets a warm feeling. Jamie Lynn, what's going on, babe? You're in my thoughts. Okay, a new message from Broomfield on MySpace. Broomfield and Hearts. And then a new message from Megan. Let's see, a new message. Christina wants to be friends. New message from Greatly. New profile comment from Stephanie. New message from Ashley. That's the end of that because that's when she got arrested. And they took her phone and then they didn't look anymore there. So that's weird. That just shows you like her friends knew like what the heck. It was really odd that she would be going around with them when her daughter was missing for 32 days. Then none of them knew she was missing for 32 days. Okay, now let me see what I have. Casey. Coming text, right? I know there's. Let me see if there's the jury transcript. Hold on a second, because I want to see. Ryan. Oh yeah. Let me see what that is. Okay. So. All right, let's see what this is. Okay, this is a rush transcript. Let's just say, so this may tell us why the what the jury foreman said, why they let her off, right? So it was number 11, and here's what he said. I'll tell you what it really threw me for. It was shocking. It was very shocking because, again, I really didn't follow much of the case after the first couple of weeks. What? Great juror there. And when this and with what the state was presenting, I thought that was pretty standard. In the opening remarks, they did show some pictures that were, they will stay with you for life. And we realized just how intense and serious this case is. When you know what the defense got up, that's when they started throwing out things we didn't know. And that's when it really kind of hit us. It was something that we had to kind of sit back and let soak in, and just see where we went from there. So it was shocking. It was very eye-opening. It's a situation, that's a time I will never forget. Well, what they were putting out there, right? They were putting out there in very, very graphic terms. And Jose Baez was really, I still remember it. I haven't seen the trial again. I haven't rewatched it, but I still remember it from that day because I was blown away too when he was like that Caylee had to do something for her father that no one should have to do, right? You can imagine, I think you guys know, before she went to school in the morning, and he was just, he just kept driving that home. Yeah, that was really crazy there. So I guess the juror's confirming that and says, yes, they had a look at the worst pictures. It was right there in front of us and had to, make sure that we take the notes and that we needed to take in those pictures. And it was tough, and I told the judge this. I've never once made a decision in my life where I wanted to get into a profession where I would have to see these types of things, and we were forced to, and it was tough. And then he said, she's asking, did you see the picture of the remains, this Van Susteren, and on the ground, and placement of the duct tape? I mean, did you see that? So the juror number 11 says, we did. Yes, we saw that numerous times. He says that was shown to us. The duct tape, the skull, there was something that was a major focus at times. And we were able to see, all of it. Was the duct tape on the skull or was it adjacent? And he says it was, as far as on the skull, there was one area where it was connected, and that dealt with more the hair. It was not on actually a part of the bone, but it was right there in the vicinity of the nasal cavity and where the mouth would be. Okay. The duct tape was over the mouth and nose, right? He says, okay, so it said the prosecution obviously thought that showed an effort to suffocate Caylee. Well, here's what the juror says. Right, and that's what the prosecution was explaining to us. That was the purpose of the duct tape, was for suffocation, and they explained it to us. The vicinity of where that duct tape was, the age of it. The one thing I never really bought was the duct tape was placed at a later time, because you could look at that duct tape and you could tell that it's been aged. Okay, but as far as where the duct tape was at the initial point to where the duct tape was when the body was found, that was argued, and that's where a lot of the discrepancy was. It was attached to a part of her hair, which makes you think that it was placed on there, but that was the only, placed on there before the body was placed where it was. I don't like using the word dumped, but it was something that we had to really take a long, hard look at. Because, hi Tori, good to see you, Victoria. A good hard look at, because it was there for some time, and we needed to, know where it actually, where it's actually from the get-go. We don't know, so the duct tape becomes the thing for them. So, she's asking more about the duct tape. They said when they found the skull, there was a longer part of the hair that came down towards the ear. The hair formed what's called a hair mat, and that's where the hair, then as the decay was taking place, the hair then fell to form a sort of like a horseshoe ring around her head. Okay, and so let's see. He said it was sort of like a horseshoe type of a look. The duct tape was where and what part of the head and what part of the hair that it was attached to would have been very difficult to see, just because of all the hair being there on the ground. There was only a few strands of hair that really covered the skull. Not to go in depth in what the visual of the skull was, so I couldn't exactly tell you where the tape was on. In the vicinity of hair, when the hair was actually to the skull. Okay, so as the hair moved, the duct tape moved. It could have, he said, and then she offers that maybe it was on the flesh, and as the flesh decayed and stuff, then it moved, right? Okay. And he says, yeah, the tape was more attached to the side. As it got up towards the mouth, it became more detached. And that's where, a lot of the discrepancy could have been. But it was a situation really where with decomposition and with time spent, with time gone by, we know that the vicinity of where the duct tape was, but we just didn't know, exactly where. But it was. We knew the vicinity of where the duct tape was in relation to the skull. Okay, and then were you convinced where the duct tape came from? Yes, so they were convinced where that came from. Where did it come from? And the juror says it came from wherever they store the tape at the Anthony house. So it was Anthony tape. You don't have any doubt of that. No, it was very distinctive type of tape. The tape was shown numerous times, the juror says. And the same type of tape was made in Avon, Ohio, which had its mark on it. But it wasn't your standard silver duct tape. It did that did not have markings on it. This one did. This had a mark on it. And it was throughout the tape consistently. Every couple of inches, there was that mark. I've never seen that tape before. I bought duct tape numerous times. I know that same tape was spotted in a video at one of the centers that they opened up for the missing Caylee. It was noted on numerous signs to be posted that had pictures of Caylee. It was also placed on the gas can, which something that was attributed to the house there. Let's see. Now she's saying you're an expert in tape. And he said, day in and day out, things you never ordinarily in your career might become so familiar with. And he said, exactly, you never know. I mean, those things, some things that we would never want to learn, we had to learn. Some things we knew a little bit about that was only refined. So let's see. What do you to conclude the remains of the body? That they were. What do you conclude that the remains of the body were only a couple of blocks away? She says. So he says, well, I mean, we know that it was. I mean, obviously the body was. It was dumped there. It was left there. As far as there's a lot of gray area that goes from on that June 15th to when the body was discovered. And there's a lot of, there's just a lot of speculation as to how it got there, who took it there, and just a lot of unanswered questions in that regard. So I really can't comment on that. I don't know how it got there or how Caylee got there. I don't. I can't tell you how or who, but ultimately the body ended up there. Now, she asked Susterain said, were you ever convinced how she died? And the juror says, no, never. Okay. And then she asked them beyond, so what's your most likely, which is apart from beyond a reasonable doubt, is a very different standard than what's most likely or what you think or what you guess or anything. Where do you fall on that spectrum? The unidentified male said, well, as far as, again, this is all speculation. There's a number of ways that Caylee could have died. There is this possibility that there was the evidence of chloroform, which we can touch on later. There was a pool that was just a few feet away from the doors that has had pictures of her being able to open ladders that she could have climbed up herself. And I know that is a very major way that a lot of children die down here in Florida, but we don't know if that's the cause or if that was the cause of death. We don't know the cause of death, and that was one of the major issues that we had, and one of the major issues that we had to address We didn't know the cause of death. Everyone was speculating. That she said, you mentioned the chloroform? How did you figure that one into your thinking? And he said, well, the chloroform, it really as far as the development of the chloroform, the internet searches of chloroform, really there was a MySpace or Facebook posting of the win her over with chloroform picture. And then there was the actual Google search the next day that was done from the computer, not the laptop, but the actual desktop computer in the Anthony home. You can speculate, here is the boyfriend post this, win her over with chloroform. The next day, I want to know what chloroform is. You can speculate into that. There's no documentation on buying things to make chloroform. The one internet search that she made from Google was a 3-minute internet search. And then it subsided from there. Okay, and as you know, if there are more traces of it in greater amounts, more of a way of how it can be concocted, how it could be purchased, whatever may be, notice that there was, notice of that was ever there. So we were very limited in what we had when it came to chloroform. We were told, and they did, as far as how and what chloroform detected in other products at the levels, chloroform is detectable in other products as well. But there was not enough, there really was not enough for us to bring chloroform into the mix. Sorry, I'm yawning. It's crazy. Okay, into the mix. Now we go here. We know that there were smaller levels of it in the trunk. We know that there was a Google search on it, and that's what we had. It wasn't detected anywhere else. It wasn't on the steering wheel, and it wasn't on the handle of the door going into the car. And even if there was, there still is a question of who and where and why. Then do you think that Cindy was telling the truth? And they say, the juror says, well, there's a lot of speculation into that. There's a lot that went into her and looking for the chlorophyll, I think, because she was worried about her dogs. I don't know. With Cindy, it's just so obvious, as obvious to me, the lying. I think she was in a lot of pain and was in a lot of stress. Allegedly she was on a lot of medication, and she's been questioned a number of different times. But as far as her going back and forth with, that was something that you always kind of kept in the back of your mind. As far as her lying about it, well, there's, people that may look into that, people. But that was not something that we really considered much when we were going into deliberation. Said when Cindy testified at the trial, right? She said something to the effect, and I don't know the exact words, but that the car smelled of death or something. And I guess the prosecution's theory is that the child decomposed in that trunk. Hello to Scooter. Yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out, what the jurors are thinking. Right, the jurors said. And then she said, did you credit what she said? Did you believe that the child's body decomposed in the trunk? And the juror says, well, there was a smell of decomposition that some police officers said they noticed. Others didn't. Here's the problem that I have with the decomposition. And this may lead into other questions that you may have for me. The day that everything went down in July, the car was there. people were not going in and out of the front door. They were going in and out of the garage door, and the car was right there. And then nobody detected the sign of decomp in that regard. It was something that was pungent, something that was obvious. When the law enforcement officers that were going in and back and forth and in and out of the garage at that state, the father said that he smelled it earlier but didn't bring it up at that point. I didn't smell the smell of decomposition, was argued, and some people smelled it. Some people did not smell it. So as far as whether or not the body did actually decompose in that trunk, there is evidence that there could have been decomposition in there. But again, we were not looking more towards the cause we were looking more towards the cause and the who and the how. With the car, there were a number of people that had a number of different, that could have had access to that car. It wasn't just one key. And you don't know how that body was actually, or who put the body in the trunk, or how long the body was in the trunk. Was there a smell of decomp in there? Pull up the trunk. But then there were others that did not smell it. They were never able to prove how she did it. Not enough left, sadly. Okay. All right. Now, so this one, I think Lee did and Cindy did, right? She asked, and George did initially. And George, why would you think would have a motive to try to protect their daughter or sister, but who actually was the other way because there was something that would most likely hurt her? The jury says, yes. I didn't understand his. Well, if you go back in the tow yard, I don't understand his rationale and what he did. Okay. He said, here it is. You haven't seen two members of your family in a very long time. You make the comment that it smells. There's a smell of decomp. And you being a law enforcement officer, you would think that's something that you might think could have been one of two, causing the smell of decomp. But then he goes and gets in the car and drives away. And he makes a comment that, we need to get this car home. We need to get this car stinks. Him not calling Casey at that point in time to see if, she's, okay, to see if she's all right and what's going on with her. There just raises a lot of questions. It really does. Let's see, in juror 11, let's see here. She says, Jose Baez's opening statement said there was SA of a child in the family, George on Casey and also Lee. Right, says the juror. Do you believe that, says Sustrin. And he says no. So this juror did not believe that, okay? Didn't believe the abuse. You didn't believe it? And the juror says it was not something, there is no evidence to back this up. So I really could not take this into consideration. Him just saying that this is what happened, I wasn't going to use that to formulate my opinion of George in any way. I was going to let what he did up on the stand dictate how I felt about him. And so, no, that was not something that I really took into consideration at all, and many of us did not. Okay, so yeah, they didn't think that at all. Let's go and see now. Did some people think that he had done it and concluded that during their deliberations, and some said that they believed he did not? The jury says no, it was that was not really much of a, that was not a discussion of ours. When we got into deliberation, as far as the essay, what was George Anthony's, actions and his demeanor, and the way he presented some of the things up there on the stand. And Van Susteren says, and what about his actions and his demeanor what did you think and what did others think? And the juror 11 says, well, that's a good question because I was right there. I was 10 feet from him, and I'm used to reading because of my profession. I'm used to reading, and I really thought that George had a very selective memory in the whole regard. I thought that George at times could remember something to be vivid as it just happened the day before, the way he described a number of things that happened on June 15th. Would be one example. He could tell you everything that happened. It's amazing. He could tell you the show he was watching, the topic, and what they were on. But then you go and he's questioned on a gas can, and I don't know if you remember the video situation with the can and how long I took for that full scenario to play out. Jen, you can just... What? That was weird. That was so weird. I don't know what's going on. I thought Jen asked me a question about going somewhere, and I was going to tell her, and she didn't. Oh, my goodness. Don't tell me I'm hallucinating. Okay. But then you go, and he's questioned on the gas can, and I don't know if you remember the whole situation with the can and how long it took for the full scenario to play out. He couldn't remember which can, and we had to go back and forth. I know him and the defense went back and forth as to which picture he was shown when he was really only shown one, and he went back and forth on that. He had a very selective memory for me, and that in itself was something that I always kept in the back of my mind. For every time he got up there, I was just kind of on guard for that. When it came to, and this may be snowballing it into a whole nother question, and that may have for me, but with George, with this can, the selective memory, the way he handled the tow yard incident, River Cruz, the lady that he could have had an extramarital affair with, it raised questions. It really did. Okay, and then raised questions about his character or whether he had some involvement in Caylee's death. And the juror says, really, both for me. Character as far as the facts that he could possibly be lying to. Also, the fact that his involvement was going to be in question because he was there on the 15th. He was the, he can tell you exactly when Casey left. How do we know that that is right? So I questioned a lot for us. It really helped. It really questioned a lot. And then she says, to the point where he would let his daughter face the possibility of execution. And the jury said, yeah, I really can't answer that. No, I can't. But it was, it was something that we felt, we had to take a close look at with George. And then she said, did anybody think George was believable out of the 12? Anyone think George was credible? And the jury says, well, there was a suspicion of him that as a part of the conversation that we had, well, I'd call it round robin tactics that we had when we were doing the deliberation, that was brought up. And she says, suspicious that he was involved in covering up the death, suspicious involved with the accidental death, or suspicious he was a murderer? Jury says all three. And sister says, really, was he a murderer? And then Van Susteren says in the in the deliberation room, and they said, we talked about it in deliberation. Yeah, I can go into a little more depth into what we did in the deliberation room. I was the only one who had to orchestrate the whole situation. Okay, and then it was asked, how many people do you think how many people thought that George was responsible? The problem is with the gray area, there's no way that we can tell the responsibility. What was in question a lot of times dealt with, Caylee was with Cindy the night before. When she came back the next day, they looked at pictures of him in the retirement community, and then they went to bed. Guardianship, when it started, who was looking out for her the next day? George and Cindy and Casey all took a hand in raising Caylee. We know that. Cindy went to work, and then the gray area comes in. And then she said, but I realized George wasn't charged in this case. Right, says the unidentified male, juror number 11. And then she says, he's not charged with anything, I guess. I find it interesting that some jurors thought that he might be responsible, not just for an accident or cover-up, but for a murder. And the juror 11 says it was just one of those things where because he was there was a gray area there. Hey, he was in question for us just having some character issues when he was on that stand, and then he was there at the time on that day that all the gray area is happening for us, and that puts him in the mix. It'll put him in the mix for us. And then she says, if this were a murder in terms of the discussion and the deliberations, and obviously that was something that wasn't proven by the state beyond a reasonable doubt. Juror says, right. She says, was there ever a sort of discussion of motive? They don't have to prove a motive, but no, he says. She says, was there ever any discussion about why anyone would want to do that? Why anybody would want to do that? And the other thing is, and again, movie was not something that we have to prove. It's just how we felt that motive that the state provided was, in our eyes, was just kind of weak, that a mother would want to do something like that to her child just so she could go out and party. That's what they presented to us. And, but aside from that, there was no talk of anyone leaving. Then she says between June 16th and mid-July, her behavior, she out partying. You saw the pictures, obviously. There's the tattoo. What was that discussion? And what do you think about that tattoo? Let's see. He says, well, it disgusted us. We were all very disgusted with that between June 16th, what had happened. Take the time that's what it makes it this hard. That's what makes this it's very hard for us. I'm telling you, I think it means now, I wish because of that and seeing that there were something else we could have looked at the time. That'd be, I guess he's going to do the sequester, he can go answer whatever he needs to answer, whatever, but I think that's where he got that chocolate bar that he had that one time. Who had that? Was it one of the jurors? I don't know. Anyway, it's making it very hard for us. It's something that, I wish because of that and seeing that it'd be washed from there, since nothing else could look at that to be more than a felony, something where, and we don't have the power to do this. We don't have the ability to put the laws in place for this, but something where if you do not report a child missing, then it's going to be, if you don't put it, then it's going, where did I just lost my place. Don't have the ability to put the laws in place, but something where if you do not report a child missing, then it's going to be a felony. And for every hour, day, whatever goes on, then it gets worse and worse because her actions were disgusting. Okay. I have a discussion with others about whether or not you can prove a cause of death by someone's horrible behavior. He says yes. She says, I don't think you can. I think it's a scientific issue. He says, right. Then she says, which is why I think the jury also concluded, but the whole discussion outside of the trial for us on the show was like, how in the world could someone act like that with a missing child? I mean, that was the last thing that she was going to tell us. She was just inexplicable to us. And he says, right, and it was to us too. I wanted it oh my gosh, it was to us too, but we were asked to indict on the cause of death. And then she says, convict, you mean? And then he says, I'm sorry, convict on the cause of death. And much of the time we were in the trial, a lot of it details with her actions afterwards, and that's something, although it's disgusting, it's heinous, we weren't really able to take into consideration with the coming down with the verdict on the indictments. What do you think of Lee, the brother? He said, I thought Lee was very genuine. I thought Lee tough for him, wasn't it? He says, yes, it was very tough for him. He had a very hard time with it. I thought Lee, in the videos of how he handled things, the videos of conversations that he had with Casey and in person, he handled himself. He took a tremendous amount of responsibility and he handled it very well, I thought. I was very hard on him and I thought he handled the situation well. Just a tremendous thing, a tremendous manner. She's got now I've got, she doesn't have bells. What does she have? Oh my gosh, I was watching something about this church. They said that he was, I'm trying to think what they said about this. Something about, I can't think of it now. I just have it on the tip of my, it'll come back to me. What did you think of the judge? The judge was excellent. How about the prosecutors? The prosecutor, yeah, how'd they do? Well, I thought, for what? Hey, I really, in prosecution, when it was over and done, when they rested, I wanted more, really thought the prosecution, I don't know. I think there was more for them to give. I wanted more, though, going through this than really put out. And at this point in this situation, this is going to be a difficult day for the group. So as far as how they presented, you thought, here's what he's saying. As far as how the jury, how that was presented by the prosecution, I guess he means, and the defense, he thought they did a really good job. I thought, this is different. Ashton was, they put a lot of work in the presentations, and I thought you could tell they knew what they were doing, and then, they were very professional. And in the same regards, that sometimes I thought they made light of things that I didn't consider was in good taste. And she says, you mean there's one reference, I think, in closing where Jeff Ashton, this is the prosecutor. The prosecutor got slapped around a little bit by the judge for smirking. For smirking, yes. I thought that was very distasteful. The pigs in the blanket thing that he made towards the reference to the one guy who put a pig in the back of a car and then studied decomposition of the pig in the car just at times, and then you're there for a long time. Uh-oh, I hope my mic is still working. A long time. And in the back of your mind, there's a young girl who's died, and we need to maintain our focus. Defense team, let's see. Well, the defense team, I really thought the defense team, they were always very professional. I thought they did a good job. They pushed the reasonable doubt, and the reasonable doubt was there. So they did a good job of defending, when the prosecution rested defending. And I thought they would do a good job in their closing remarks, keeping their guns very close to their chest in that regard. She says, is there any single juror in the group that you don't have to name the name, but who didn't take his or her job seriously in terms of weighing the evidence and voting? They said, no, we weighed the evidence, I think there's a difference between quality of time and quantity of time. I've been in many meetings where I can say, we spend a lot of time on this, but the quality wasn't there. We remained focused. We had a nice system in place. We were dedicated. We did not take many breaks. We had a course of action that everyone took seriously. This was a very serious matter, and all of us took it serious. And let's see, what we were able to, formulate the verdicts that we needed to formulate. Why, after the verdict, did the jury give a press conference, which you were not obliged to give by any means? I don't mean to suggest it. Francis says, but some juries, right, the juror said, and then she said, but some juries do, some don't. Why didn't you? He said, well, it was the whole situation, the whole process was very stressful for us. It was very emotional. And when it was over and done, when we came back to the jury room, it was just a really difficult process for a lot of people to go through. And there's emotions that people were expressing were just gut-wrenching. Okay. And then she says, why after the verdict? Okay, let's see. Why after the verdict? Why didn't you? Well, it was heart-wrenching. Was there sobbing? He says there was sobbing. There were tears. There was just a lot of people that really didn't want to talk. That's what we did. We talked to each other hour upon hour. We wanted to unwind. We didn't want to have to answer the questions. We needed time. It was a situation where we really needed time. And with that, with me being the foreman, I told them, this is something that we just need to give us some time and look us up later, because we can't do this now. And we all came to an agreement on that. But for us in our best interest, and you guys, to get the best story that you needed, we just needed for some time for us to rewind and gather our thoughts. When the judge gave you the case to begin to go into deliberations, you still didn't have a foreperson at that time, right? You go into the room. How did you get selected? He says we really didn't vote on it. I walked in and they said, we need to find out who the foreperson's going to be. And just about everyone said me. So, I was honored. Let's see, there was nothing else I'd like to do. He says there was one other person who did not want to do it. And then everyone basically said no. And Sistrine said, and did you sense any resentment or problem with that person? No, she was excellent. She was fine on it. She was excellent. She did an excellent, great job with aiding me. She was very intelligent, and that helped me out a lot. and did a lot of the other jurors, and so did a lot of the other jurors in this case. There was one in particular who did a great job of helping me through the process and keeping things organized for us and asking the questions that we needed to ask. And one thing that I did that I wanted everyone to know everyone's thoughts, so I just called it a round robin discussion that we were going to have where nobody else could speak. Everyone had to say their thoughts on any issues, and we did this a number of different times throughout the course of deliberation. And when I would come back around, that guy that helped me do a lot of really good jobs or bringing up questions and points, that we needed to look at. And so she says, the first day of deliberations, about what time did you go into the room? 2:15, between 2:15 and 2:45. And when was the first vote then on it, besides the four-person issue? When was the first? And let me see. He says, well, I wanted to know. I wanted to take a pre-vote. I wanted to see where we stand, where people stood. So we voted right away. She says, I mean, you raised your right hand, yes, or in secret. You raised your hand. And then, what was the spirit of the first vote? Well, for which? Indictment? When? She says murder. Okay, for murder it was 10-2. 10 saying it was 10 innocent, 2 guilty. What? And about if you went in 2:15, when do you think that was? I can't remember exactly when that was. Hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, next day. He says probably about, well, it wasn't the next day, but it was on the first day. It was within the first hour. Hi, Val. Hi, Twisted. What's going on? Let me see. Did they ever find out how Caylee? I mean, no. That's the problem. Twisted. I was born and raised in New York. You were mangonels? Oh my goodness. What part of New York, mangonels? What part of New York? Let me see. Wow, it's going down to 33 in Texas? Huh. Your power, Twisted? I hope it stays on. Are you having a bad storm? Sorry. Oh my gosh, it's minus 16. Twisted, that's so cold. Why do you live somewhere where it's that cold? It's minus 16, Ethan.
Where?
In Canada.
Damn, we're at in Canada. That's pretty north up.
Where is that, Twisted? It's minus 16, so I hope it doesn't go back out. The wind is blowing. It's blowing snow, and it might lose power. I'm here by myself, and I can't see very much. Oh, no.
That is not the best. I'm not gonna
That's not good. You should get a headlight. Do you have a headlight, Twisted? They're the best things when the power goes out because your hands are free, and you can see in front of you. And it goes on your head kind of like a headband, but you should definitely get some of those if you don't have them. And, wow, do you have a generator or anything? Long Island, Meganels. Oh, okay. Where in Long Island? Alberta, Canada. It's interesting. Okay. Wow. I couldn't live there, Twisted. I don't know. That's. You have a headlight? Or you? Good night. I love you. Let me see. I need one of those. You do need one of those. You really do, and they're not expensive, and they are the greatest things. Because we use them all the time, and you can have them all charged up. And get a few of them because you don't know how long the power will be out. You can get them right on Amazon and stuff. Crazy, yeah. Val said there seemed to be a lot of arguing about Megan L says about how she died, but I don't think they were able to find the cause. No. Massapequa in Nassau County. Oh, okay. All right, so let's see. So that if you went in about 2:15, I can't remember, and then she was asking him. So there was not a lot of persuading or anything that had to be done. He says not for the pre-vote. No, not for the pre-vote. So there were two that were adamant on guilty or just uncertain, or do you measure? He said, I believe with one there was some uncertainty, and one was pretty adamant about it. Adamant that it was guilty? Says the juror. And what later changed that to not guilty, do you think? And the foreman says, I never really with that person, didn't get into that. It just changed through our deliberations. Sooner or later or much later? It was much later, the juror says. That next day, when we did our post votes, it was when that came out. And we realized, the indictments 4 through 7, I wanted to get that out of that. There was direct evidence on that. And she says, that's the lying. And the foreman says, that was the lying. Okay. Then the foreman says, and so, well, it was a no-brainer that there was 12 to nothing guilty. And so we just knocked those right away because the evidence was there. We get into 1 through 3, and that's where the issue was raised. As far as the first one, with murder in the first, with 10-2 voting after the process that I explained earlier, where we dissected the word or the verbiage that was on the indictment and looked at our notes and looked at our evidence, the killing, it was not something that we could get. That one, she says, that's very interesting that right from the get-go, you guys were 10-2. Yes. She says, that gives you some level or indication of how certain the jury was. And the foreman says, well, it does. And all of us felt really, when prosecution rested, we thought perhaps we did not go in researching this much. We were somewhat of an open book, somewhat. When they rested, I was stunned. I thought there would be more. I really did. And I was waiting for more. And a lot of us felt that way. There's just not enough evidence to fill in the gray area that we needed to have filled in. Oh my goodness. Okay. So it's the gray area they didn't have filled in. Okay. She says, in terms of the 10-2 in the initial round on the murder, what was the hang up for the two, or what were they focusing on? He says the focus was really on the chloroform and the duct tape, and that the chloroform, the duct tape, all of the circumstances or all of the evidence that was provided in regard could have emotion played into it. I didn't ask. Bad behavior of her play into it at all. Said bad behavior. Yes, that's something that could have something to do with it, but I didn't ask about that because that was not something that was in. It was not something that we could talk about in the for the mid-June. For June 16th. So it really wasn't discussed, but I think emotion could have played into it, kind of like a gut response, yet they let out, and that's why I wanted to see where we stood with the pre-vote, with the, with my occupation. I give pretest for the exact same reason. And so I wanted to know where we stood. Was there ever any discussion either during the trial or deliberation or anything about the fact that she might be executed, that you might be called upon to make that decision? No, said the juror. Never took that into account. You never looked across the courtroom and thought, I'm going to have to decide whether she lives or dies? He says, well, we went on. Are you talking about when we were in deliberation or? She says, no, jury. And he said, during the course of the trial? Yes. He says, yes, oh yes. She says, I mean, looking across the courtroom. He says, it was a thought. Absolutely, absolutely. When we went into deliberation, no, because the punishment is not something that's the punishment is written down there on the paper as what we were able. The punishment on the paper, it's the verdict, so we didn't take it into consideration. But yes, there were times when I'd be sitting there, I'd look over and the extent of the outcome of what could happen. It hits you, it weighed on you at times, but not something that I would dwell over. And then, let's see here. Did she look at you at all? Did she ever have any contact with the jury? Eye contact? He said just quick eye contact they would make. We were sitting in front of her, so it was going to happen. What do you think she is like? I have no clue, the foreman says. As far as I know, from what I've seen in evidence, I know from the videos that I've seen from her when she was in prison, the pictures that were taken that were admitted into evidence, anything about her personality, I do think she has issues. She will battle forever, issues that I can't understand. I don't associate myself with people like that. I don't really know much about the personality of Casey Anthony. I just know from what I was able to see that she does have problems. Hi, cute kitty. She says, it's interesting because something you didn't hear and nothing to do with the trial, but there were letters that she wrote that talked about, while she was in jail, that talked about having another child, which horrified people. The foreman said, it's a combination of jury and foreman, the German. Okay. The foreman says, right, we don't know anything about those. Your thoughts about it? He says, I haven't given it much thought. So, her writing in prison to other people, I don't know what else you can do in prison. As far as the alleged pregnancy, again, that's something that really, it disgusts me. She says she didn't testify. She has a constitutional right not to testify. But everyone always wonders whether the jury thinks, why didn't she testify if she didn't do anything? Was there any discussion about her not testifying? That was never brought up. Did you want to hear from her? He said, you want to hear from the person that they are talking about for the 6 to 8 weeks, but she has a right not to testify. It would have been unproductive for any of us to dwell on that. There'd be no reason for us to do that. Did you see her cry? Yep, he says. What did you think about it? Was it genuine? He says, I don't know. I mean, I think there were times when she was crying because I didn't think it was genuine when Lee was crying. That was very heart-wrenched. No, I'm sorry. I did think it was genuine when Lee was crying. That was a very heart-wrenched, emotional point for Lee. And I thought that was genuine for her. But all of the others, I don't know what she asked to do or what she was told to do. I don't know if she's the type of person that can cry at the drop of a dime when she needs to. So not something I weighed into anything when it came time for us to come to a verdict. She says, so it's pretty clinical in the sense, look at the evidence, look at the verdict form. And he says, yes, look at the verdict form. You look at your notes and you look at the evidence. Yes. Did you ever feel sorry for her? No, he says. Not once? Not once. Did you feel sorry for George? No, as far as I feel sorry for the fact that now here they are left to pick up the pieces. You have to keep in mind and keep in perspective that they're their granddaughter is deceased, and I feel sorry for them in that aspect. What sits with me and what bothers me the most is the fact that nobody made the effort, and I say them, who, one or two, whoever, made the effort to get a hold of somebody. Cindy made a 911 call. Cindy is different. Cindy was never one that we thought had any point in the matter, but the others did, and that's why this is a shame. That's why I was saying before, there really should be something in place where that can be punishable. Serious, not misdemeanor. Something serious so they can be punished because of that. Any disgust for anyone in particular? Well, I'll tell you what. I had to sign off on the indictments. That was... I don't know what it is. You mean the verdict? Oh, yeah. Not the indictments, the verdict. Yes, the verdict, yes. When I had to sign off on the verdict, the sheet that was given to me, there was a feeling of disgust that came across me, knowing that my signature and her signature were going to be on the same sheet. I do have a disgust for, I don't want to name names, but for people in the family, I do. There's issues that go on that I can't really discuss, but yes, there is a sense of disgust by all means. She said, what about the meter reader? What do you think happened? What do you think he had anything to do with moving the remains? Did he see the remains in August? Really? What do you make of it all? The jury foreman says, I don't know what to make of Roy Kronk. I mean, I think the defense pushed the issue with him. There wasn't much time on him for us to really generate a feeling towards Roy Kronk. And I do think next he did. He stated that he did remove the remains at a time. He picked the bag up, and at one point the skull came out. And then she says, you don't think he moved it from the house? No, there's nothing that puts him at the house. There's nothing that shows consistently he was involved in the Anthony family, so that was not something that I really took into consideration. But again, we don't know. That's such a gray area, but that was not one that I put in the mix of those days. And she says, I understand it has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and you don't if there was an accident or a murder. Right. And then she says, but what is your suspicion how that child got from the home to where the remains were found? And he says it wasn't very far. Whether she was put there in the trunk of Casey's car, there is a good possibility of that. Again, it's a suspicion. Was she put in that car and then taken out of the car and then put in another? We don't know the whole process of going from house to the corner of Suburban Drive, around the corner to this spot on Suburban Drive. Okay. So I wish there was something that could tell us as to how that really happened. Who put the body in the car? How they put the body in the car? What happened to the body before it was put in the car? Those are issues we don't know. Okay, when you signed the verdict in the verdict room and said, all right, let's go, let's tell the deputy we're ready to go, what was it like in that room? And he said it was tough. Meaning what, she said. He said silence. I was very silent. There's a lot of time from the time when I was knocking on that door to the time that we actually out of there was a lot of time. And it was just very, very somber, silent, quiet moments for all of us. I wanted to try to close my eyes and relax, and I really couldn't. And a lot of people go through and check to make sure everything was filled out right on it. I mean, make sure the date was right, the appropriate box was checked, just for my own comfort. Okay, hold on a second. that part we went through. Let's see. Okay, here. This must be where we are. Okay, that's a shocking part. But then, how did we get there? Did we go over that already? Oh yeah, we did. Wow. Okay. June 15th. Gray area. Yeah, that looks like that's it. Okay, so let me say, Megan L said, seeing the text from Casey's mom to Casey changed my mind about her. Wait a minute. What do you mean? Tell me what you mean by that. I love how they argued about Casey's father moving her remains. If that was the case, why wasn't he charged? Tell me what you mean by that, Megan. I got to put my tea kettle on because I've got to have a cup of tea. Hold on a minute. I'll be right there. I'm just going to put it on. But tell me what you mean by it changed your mind from what to what. Change your mind from what to what? Let's see. Let me see what you said. Let me see what you said. I always thought she was covering up for Casey. Oh, so now you're seeing that like she was really telling, call me, like what's going on? Is that what you mean? Okay, and to be a devil's advocate, I guess, okay, let's say, could they have been planted, but they seem genuine, right? You thought she was part of it now till I saw the text wanting to know where she was. Okay. You mean just right now, tonight? Tonight changed your mind? Right now? Yeah. I think that's what you mean. When Casey was released from jail, she went right over to Jose Baez's house. To the freak for getting her out. To freak the freak for getting her out. She was going to a freak off? Did he freak off? No, I don't know. Did he freak off? Oh yeah, so that's interesting because I do feel like I'm seeing some of this stuff for the first time, but again, it's a long time ago, so I don't know. I did watch the trial every night, but a lot of this is like new to me. Let me see what else we have in these files. Where's my glasses? Okay. Casey Anthony. Joy Ray files. What's that? Emails. Hold on, I want to look at, let me look at something. Hang on one second. Okay, let me just see one thing. Okay, there's an email from, let me see. Hold on, let me get. Come on, baby. Come on, honey. This apparently, let me see if I can get this, is when he told her from the stand, her brother Lee, that I love you. Apparently there were tears here like this. Uh-oh, get over there. Okay. And then there, I'm going to read to you a letter. Hang on. An email, I mean. Okay, so Rick Plessy is one of Cindy's brothers. Shirley, is it Placia or Plessy? I don't know. Is Cindy's mother and Casey's grandmother. And that's something, right? Cindy's parents were still alive, right? Both of them. Because she mentioned her father in one of the interviews too. So an email from Rick, okay, this is from Cindy's brother to Cindy, August 21st of 2008. And the subject was, won't do Greta. Cindy, George did wrestle his dad and put him through the window. That is why George had to start his own business. Don't lie to me about it. Mom filled me in on Casey, so don't lie to me about it. She stole Dad's check and bought a stupid phone at AT&T, so don't lie to me about the $354. Mom has the GD statement. I know I re-verified with Mom today. The sitter is the whole case. Are you that dumb? The house could be Joe Blow's, for C's sake. Are you that naive? You really are that stupid? I can't believe it. My sister is a moron. You need help. You are delirious. I was trying to help you. Your granddaughter is dead. There, I said it. Casey has killed her some way, either by accident or on purpose. Casey is a narcissist. Read up on it. You and George have been walking through life with blinders on. Hold on, I gotta get my tea. I'll be right there. I'll be right there. Got to go through some of this tea in here. I have entirely too much tea. I get so excited when I'm finishing boxes of tea, isn't it? Isn't that crazy? Because I've been so happy. We've been like going through, like, sometimes you want to have such a selection of tea and then it becomes outrageous and you're like, I'm going to use this tea all. But it's great. I'm almost finished with this box. I used to drink a lot of tea, and then I stopped drinking tea, and now I'm on a tea kick again. At night. With you guys, I have at least one cup, sometimes two. Okay. Let me just get my vanilla honey here. I'm gonna have to go to the store tomorrow because my son is home. I think let's see when my the son's home from college. Daughter's coming home, I think, tomorrow. Luke's here, but I've had to do grocery shopping, and I think everybody seems to be in agreement that because I've been getting my crafts all in order, and I've been doing a really good job of getting things really organized in here, and then just ready that I can like kind of take them out of my kitchen and all of that. I've been working hard, and that we should maybe just take it easy. And so there was a restaurant we wanted to go to. So my daughter-in-law called twice, my daughter-in-law to be, and she's like, oh my gosh, it looks like it might be full. I'm like, how can it be there? She said, we've got to think of a plan B. We've got to get another restaurant. She goes, or we're going to end up in Cracker Barrel, but that would be okay. I said, it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't. It doesn't matter. It matters that we're together. And they're right. A lot of times you get stuck on, I got to make this, I got to make that. I can still make stuff during my son's going to be here till December, my first, before he goes back to college. My other son and daughter-in-law, they're always in this area. Luke's here, of course. My daughter will be here, God willing, till Sunday if the storm holds off. And, I'll always still bake stuff, and I can make my stuffing if it's a big deal. But I do have a stuffing I'm going to make. So we'll see. I've learned to, not freak so much if everything is not just like that. My kids are pretty good with it, too, so they'll go good. All right, let's get back to this email. So he said about George, right? Let me see. George and you walking through life with blinders on. Casey made you look like fools at my wedding. Did you forget? I told you she was pregnant. You are a nurse for C's sake. You are a fool. Casey has buffaloed you and George for a long time. I also know about George and the internet, and he paid most of it back from his workers' comp check. Casey ran up the tab. Mom knows and told me, you idiot. You think what you did is secret? You are living a fantasy. Wake the hell up, sister. George's debt was paid over time in Ohio. I remember the settlement, and that was from 1989. You think I am as dumb as you? You're not only in denial, but you're missing your brain. The article of clothing of the sitters was verified by who? Casey? No one ever saw the sitter. So how could they have ever proven to be her? How could they have proven to be hers? What drugs are you on? You are so stupid, I can't take it. You should make the Guinness Book of World Records for being gullible. The only thing God knows is Casey is a liar, and you are stupid. Casey knows where Caylee is, and when all the evidence is in, she will get the death penalty for murder. You have to be a moron for destroying evidence with washing pants that smell like a dead body. If they were in the car and the smell was in the trunk, how could the pants stink? Think. Use that thing on your shoulders. If the cops didn't think you were stupid, they would bring charges against you and George for destroying evidence. I disowned Nate for lying for Pam, and I can disown you for your ignorance. I see how Casey is so screwed up between you and George as role models. Saying Casey will be Mother of the Year? I nearly tossed my groceries. She will be Mother of the Year? Those people in prison will have a field day with her. You better tell her to confess and ask for solitary. It is her only hope. Do you think I care anymore after you attacked me? You are in another universe. You and George are on your own. Good luck with that. Oh, by the way, everyone on Greta thinks Caylee is dead, including Greta. Do you ever watch her show? What moron you are! Mental hospital, here you come. Wow. Did anybody ever remember hearing that email from her brother? There's another one, but no, not the son. That's her brother. I made a mistake if I said it was the son. It was her brother. But then I clarified it was her brother. You love tea, Victoria? Of course, right? But you're in the right place for tea. She would. I know, Victoria. I can't believe it. It's crazy. Don't even get me started on that, okay? Please don't get me started. What do you think? Did you guys hear that? Do you guys remember that email? There's another one from him. That was in August, before her body was even found. I thought it was a grandma. I thought it was a grandma. No, that one was from her brother. That's from her brother. But he's saying that mom told me, and mom is Casey's grandma, right? No. I'm sorry. If I got people confused, I'm really sorry. This is Cindy Anthony's brother. Cindy's brother. I'm sorry. I confused everybody because I talked about Lee Anthony. I confused everybody, and I thought it was a letter from Lee, and I'm sorry. And then I did say it was Cindy's brother. No, that's not Kenzie. That's Casey Anthony. That's Casey. That is Casey when her brother said, I love you on the screen. I think that's where I got everybody. Screwed up. Oh, I hope we don't have to delete the live. Lady told me if I made a mistake, I have to delete the live. This lady, crazy lady one time. Hi, Lucky. You ready for the next email from the brother? Cindy's brother, okay? Still, that's pretty harsh words coming from Cindy's brother, right? I mean, that's pretty harsh. Yeah, but I mean, he's calling it out, right? Okay. Let me go back and... Okay, that was... Let's see here. Come on, sweetheart. Go forward. Okay. Email from Cindy. Okay, this is Cindy's response. This is Cindy Anthony now. Call his father. He did not wrestle his dad through a glass window. She did not steal dad's check. I gave mom back the check from her 21st birthday uncashed. That is how she got the routing number. You are the effing stupid one. There is a sitter. We have people tracking her. The OCSO is not doing their job, but we have other sources who are. Someday you will eat all your words, and I hope you choke on them. There is no case against Casey. DNA does not take 31 days to get back. They have nothing. I did not ask you to get involved. You think you know everything? Mom got confused when you went through your divorce and took Pam's side until I convinced her there are always two sides. People should not judge what they do not know. The next time you say Caylee is dead, I will personally come there and kick your sorry ass all the way to hell, because that is where you are headed. Stay out of my life. You did not ruin your son's life. He is a wonderful young man. Thank God you disowned him. He did better off without you. You have no family, loyalty, or faith. What a waste of a human existence. I did not want to stoop to our low-life level, but I'm calling it as I see it. Again, I feel sorry for Robin. She is a nice woman. I have only 2 brothers. Okay, so then he writes, Cindy's brother writes back to reply again, okay? Well, he writes a new email. This one has no subject. And it says, Mom has this statement that Casey stole from Dad's account. You ass. Mom told you about Casey stealing it. Quit lying for Casey. Casey's excuses for stealing was that Universal transferred her and they didn't have the budget for the phones that the employees needed and told them to buy them themselves. Casey told Mom that Universal would reimburse them. Casey didn't have the money to buy it, so she, in quotes, borrowed it from Dad's account. The check was signed Casey Anthony, so don't effing lie to me. I have heard enough lies coming for your daughter for a lifetime, and now you are lying to me. Your princess daughter didn't even graduate from high school, and you cover that up? When you finally find the truth about what has happened to Caylee, I will say, I told you so. You are so damn blind, you need a seeing eye dog. If you really wanted to find Caylee, you would seek the real truth from Casey. The FBI and the forensic labs are taking their time and doing this right. The evidence is not in yet. You are in for a huge surprise. Speaking of the FBI, they and the Orange County Sheriff's Office called me and Mom. They now know what Mom and I know about this. They talked to Dan too. This is far too serious to pretend that Casey just gave Caylee to a made-up sitter. No one believes you or your lying daughter. I disown Nate because he was a lying, no-good little prick. I gave him many chances, but not the million chances you have given Casey. No one was ever missing from my house. I welcome the chance of you coming here to kick my arse. You need to kick Casey's arse, you idiot. I know you want to believe Caylee is still alive because you will have lost Caylee and Casey. I was trying to let you see both sides. You are only looking at Casey's side. I don't need you in my family. You are too stupid to be in my family. You are the stupidest people that I know. You can pick your seat and pick your nose. You can't pick your relatives. All you had to do was discipline Casey. You didn't do anything to squelch her. You created her, now deal with her. If you think Nate is a fine man, I would have a problem with that. Your judge of character is not working. You can't see Caylee did something to Caylee and knows what it is. Nate may have grown up, and if he got away from Pam's inheritance, he may have a chance. He knows now that I wasn't going to put up with his nonsense any longer. Something that you have to learn about Caylee. Anyway, the police and FBI now know the truth. I hope it will lead them to Caylee. What you were doing wasn't working. Okay, now we're going to have... Well, I want to go see what you thought of that first, and then we're going to have an email from Cindy and Rick's mom to Rick, and then one to her brother's ex-wife. Wasn't that what the case was? They either were going to charge her with... Stop. Okay. Let's see what you're saying. Caylee sure borrowed a lot. I mean, that's the least of things, right? You know what I'm saying? It's the least of things of everything there that she so-called, quotes, borrowed the money for the phone. Given everything that's going on, okay, that's like, why are we even bringing that up? Yeah, okay, she's a liar, she's this, she's that, yeah. But he has plenty that she lied about. Where's Caylee? What's going on? You know, all the lies that you said about the nanny and everything else. I mean, it's... Cindy washed clothes that smelled like dead people. Yeah, I didn't know that, right? Did you guys? I didn't know that. Okay, let's go read the next one, all right? All right. I'm gonna drink a couple of sips of tea first so that you might hear like a silence, okay? Don't think I'm not here. I'm just gonna try to have some tea while it's hot. Now, I want you to know that those emails that we just read, okay, the date on them was August 23rd, 2008. Now, this next email is before that. It's the 18th of July, 2008. That would be 2 days after Caylee was arrested, okay? And it's supposedly right here from Shirley, which is Cindy's mother, to Rick, the brother that was writing to her like that. And then it says, and there's another to Robin. So let's see. So Shirley is saying, hi to both and family. Have you been seeing anything on your TV news or computer news about Caylee being missing? She was just reported missing Wednesday night. She's been missing since June 9th. Caylee was supposedly staying with a friend and working, and a babysitter was to have been watching Caylee. Cindy has been begging Caylee every day to let her talk with Caylee. Caylee always has an excuse. They got a registered letter from an impound garage that Caylee's car was abandoned. It cost them $500 to get it. That caused Cindy to trace Caylee? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I don't know how she got her, but she said, take me to Caylee. Caylee wouldn't. Cindy said, do it, or you are going to jail in handcuffs. Even before the judge the next day, she wouldn't say truthfully where she was or is. Everything she told them and wrote in her statement proved to be a lie. No person by the name she gave of the sitter, the house where she was to have dropped Caylee off, has been empty for months. Caylee took the sheriff's detective to Universal Studios to have them meet her boss and coworkers. When they were almost to where she told them to go, she stopped and admitted she hadn't worked there for about 2 years. They said she was fired in 2006. Cindy didn't know this. Caylee was running up bills and also using Cindy's credit. She is wiped out. Now Cindy is talking about bonding Caylee out. So she's as nuts as Caylee is. This is Cindy's mother talking, writing this email. Where does she think Caylee would go except to her house and finish stealing her blind? I'm taking a sip of tea. All the stations carry this at every newscast. Cindy has been interviewed by all the stations, including some from around D.C. It's not an Amber Alert, as it's been too long, and they have no license or anything to base an Amber Alert on. But it is going national. They spent 2 days digging up the backyard at Cindy's as neighbors reported seeing her at the house when Cindy and George weren't there. There's more, but you can probably find it on the web. Where is Caylee is the lead, which every news station carries it. It was headlines, front page in the Orlando Sentinel on Friday, and front page today. I'm really a mess over this. Okay, and the next email, that was July 18th. The next email is July 29th, and it's Shirley's email to Cindy now. Cindy's mom is emailing her, okay? Is emailing Cindy. Dear Cindy, we are sick over this. We are so worried about Caylee, and we are very worried about you. I've seen so many interviews. Now they discuss you after you leave. The only one has remained kind to you is Mike on M&J. Then today, you blew it. For everyone's sake, yours, Caylee's, and yes, even Casey's, stay off TV. Or act like the person you really are, a nice person who has worked for 30 years, making the home and raising a nice family. You are taking the spotlight off of Caylee. We know you love Casey, but what about the future? Be mad at me if you want. It hurts to see Dad plastered on most newscasts in his fragile condition. I still believe Caylee is better off in jail. There are a lot of nutcases out there and would like to see her harmed. Think about it. If she gets out on bond, you all really might be in danger. Thanks for the note. We are both on extra medication for anxiety. The only things we know are what we and everyone else sees, and of course most of it is taken out of context, so don't give them more to beat you up with. Now even Nate was on TV. How does that help Caylee? You're focusing on Casey. Let her help herself more. Since I probably won't get to see you, please take care. Thinking of you all, Mom. Okay. Okay, now this is Cindy's. Next is August 2nd, 2008, and it's Cindy Anthony responding to her mother's email. I will have no life without Caylee. I will do everything I can to bring her home. I could care less about Mike and Juliet as long as Caylee's picture got out there. That is what I want. I am sorry for what this is doing to you and Dad, but I cannot stop doing what I can to get Caylee back. As far as the bond, George and Lee and I agree for a lot for other reasons that Casey is better where she is and Caylee is also safer. Casey may have lied, but I know she is not responsible for any harm to Caylee. I will fight for both my girls. Hold on, I'm taking a drink. Finding Caylee will bring Casey home. Please know that I think of you and Dad every day. I just cannot discuss what I know at this time. I love you and cannot be mad at you. I am getting rest and I am eating. Love, Cindy. Oh, I'm saying love Sydney, like that show. I still like that show, Tony Randall. Letter to Cindy, George, and Lee from the mother. So this is another email to Cindy, George, and Lee from Cindy's mom. And this is August 2nd, 2008. Dear Cindy, George, and Lee, we are very worried about all of you. And of course, our main concern is Caylee. I have a question. You seem to have gotten some things. I have a question. You seem to have gotten some of Casey's things from Tony or whomever. Did you ever get any of Caylee's clothes back? I can't believe the nanny had all of Caylee's clothes. If you have the answers, fine. If not, ask Casey where they are. Someone has or had them. Hang on. The country has Casey convicted already. Make her help herself if she can. You have about 2 weeks, and then they're going to charge her, and she will be lost. She never once, of her own accord, on any of the tapes referred to Caylee by name or asked about her. I know you would gladly give your life for Caylee. Personally, I think Casey took Caylee to hurt you. Not that she meant to harm you. She could have left her with you and then go on with her lifestyle that she wanted till she got it out of her system. She knew she and Caylee would always have a good home with you. Back off and let her think things through. She will be safe in jail. She needs time to reflect on what she's doing to you three and the rest of the family. We love you, but are really sick. I saw George cry last night and it hit me hard. I had another bad night. You are all grieving and we are grieving for all of you. Love, Mom. Okay, and then let me get a sip of tea. Okay, then this next one is Rick's. That's Cindy's brother. Email to Shirley, that's his mother and Cindy's mother, about emails to Cindy. And this is the 13th of August, 2008. Hi, Mom. I wrote to Cindy a few days ago to tell her how bad I felt for them and to offer some insight from someone not so intensely involved as them. I gave them my thoughts of what I thought happened, coupled with Casey's propensity to lie. She wrote back with where did I get my info from, and I wrote back and told her. I said I could believe her if she answered one simple question for me. The question was, does anyone other than Casey have info on this ghost babysitter? Does anyone know her or did they ever see her? Just a simple yes or no would suffice. She never answered me. I said without any evidence of the sitter, there is no kidnapping. Anyways, I will send you some of my letters and Cindy's responses to them for you to read. I'm trying to find out. I tried my best to talk some sense into her, but to no avail. I said there's nothing any of us can do without proof that there was a sitter, and Casey has all the answers and that she needs to put the blame where it goes on Casey. You still have me and Robin as your family. When the facts are finally known, then Cindy will have to face them. Right now, she is in denial. I will send the letters. Love, Rick. Okay. Next up is Rick and Cindy's mother back to Rick, and this is the 13th of August, 2008. And she says, Dear Rick, I read all the letters. I agree with most of what you said. I know she won't believe any of us until she sees that little body. Or Casey says where she is. I made her upset the last note that I wrote. So what does... Hold on a minute. Let me make this a little larger for me. I don't have to open my glasses. Okay. So what does she think we can do? If they are so sure Caylee is kidnapped, what does she think we can do to find her? Look in Myrtle Beach or in Mount Dora? George told a reporter that he lost his job. So now his job is to drive the Caylee billboard around. I'm asking where he got the money for gas. He was on his first day of his job when they found out Caylee was missing. I'm afraid Cindy will mess around and lose her job, and maybe she will lose her credibility, and they might not want her back. She should go back to work and let the police handle it from here, but she won't. Thanks for sending the emails. Take care of each other. Love, Mom. Okay, next. I'm just going to check in with you guys, and what are you thinking? What do you think about these emails? Megan L. says, LOL, I like Rick. Ghost babysitter. I'd say something like that. I'm not sure. I do know that the interviews I've seen with Casey's parents are very disjointed. They don't get along very well. Megan L. says she wasn't in the trunk when it was impounded. No, she wasn't. Val said, so Casey just left one day with the kid from Cindy's house. Did she see Casey packing a bag saying she was going to a friend's, or did she just go out and not come back, I wonder? Yeah, I think she would sometimes maybe take her, but she was never gone like that long at all. And I believe Father's Day still fell in between there and she still didn't see them. I think the weird thing is Casey went there on Father's Day and Caylee wasn't there. Isn't that crazy? I forget how she explained that one away. That was crazy. That Zanny had her or something? I don't know. Wouldn't she want her daughter to see her grandfather on Father's Day? I don't know. All right, let's go back to the other emails. Okay, so we have a response to Shirley's email from Rick. Again, Rick is Cindy Anthony's brother. Shirley is Cindy Anthony's mother. This is 13th of August. Mom, I wanted you to see what I said to Cindy. I tried to reason with her. How can they possibly believe a lying snot that has never told the truth? How can they not see that all of Casey's actions are not of someone that cares that Caylee is missing? Not reporting it right away, out partying every Friday at the club, all of her new friends saying that she never mentioned anything was wrong with Caylee, and abandoning the car a few blocks from home and not getting it or worrying about it. It's still worth $3,000 or $4,000. These are things that a person whose child was missing would not do. She is guilty as hell, Mom. Cindy and George have got to be the stupidest people on the earth. Even the psychic says Caylee is dead. There is not one thing we can do. People are fed up with them. Some even want to hurt them for being so stupid. I always thought George was an arsehole, but and I thought Cindy was stupid for staying with him. I guess they deserve each other. They need to blame themselves for enabling Casey to steal and lie and get away with it. They need to blame themselves for enabling, they created her and brought into all her lies and excuses for way too long. They're still doing it. It absolutely amazes me. They both need to get counseling before they go off the deep end, but I think they've already have lost their minds. Give Dad a hug from us. Love, Rick. Okay, what'd you think of those? That was crazy, right? Let's see what this is. Okay, wait a second. What is this? Hold on, let me pull this up. There's, let's see, where the heck is that? Right here. Okay, this says, this was when they got Casey's Coolpix camera. Let me see what this was. Where are you? Okay. What we're going to show you now is John Allen with Orange County Sheriff's Office turned over a Nikon Coolpix 5600 digital camera to the Computer Crime Squad for examination. Corporal Yuri Melik requested that the computer be examined for images, videos, and any other information related to the case that may be in the computer. The date and time on the hard drive on the Toshiba is as follows. Okay. And so we're going to see some pictures here. Let me see why. Can we zoom in on this a little bit? Okay, wait a minute. Okay. The Nikon Coolpix camera was examined. No batteries or flash media was in the camera. Graphics from the desktop folder. This is from the desktop folder. So there's like... Let me zoom in on that. Hold on a minute. Okay, this is fun. Like, what is that a picture of? It's some kind of field. Is that Caylee over there? There's somebody with a cowboy hat who's like leaning on the fence. And then there's a little girl over there. I don't know if that... Does it say what date that is? I don't know. Okay, now there's somebody Is that person holding Caylee in that water? I'd be so scared in Florida with the freaking alligators. You gotta be crazy to go in water like that. You really do. Why am I doing that when I know how to zoom? I have to hit this. What is going on there? No, that's not a little girl. That's some kind of machinery. What is he doing? Is he looking for Caylee there? That would be on their computer, I guess, if they were looking at stuff, right? Oh, must be after she was found. Let's see, what date? Hold on a minute. What date was this? Oh, on 11/23/09. Okay, on 11/23/09. So yeah, okay. So this is about the search for her and stuff, I guess. There's water running there. Search volunteers, people getting food for people, water. There's the person that had the cowboy hat right there. Is that EquiSearch guy? I don't know. That's one of the divers, I guess. Okay. Hold on. Where's my mouse? Get over there. Oh yeah, that must have been the search. Okay. That must have been the guy. That's that. Now let me see what else. Okay, we have depositions from George Anthony. We have we're going to have to keep continuing this because there's George's depositions are 135. Something from Lee Anthony that's 420 pages. I have Cindy's deposition. Yeah, we're going to have to continue on through this. Let me see here. Yeah, I think tonight it's 2:26. We'll play the word game because I am feeling sleepy and I have to get a bunch of stuff done tomorrow. I'm still trying to get all your orders shipped out and stuff and trying the best that I can. Finish getting stuff. Let's see. Bull sharks can go from salt to fresh water. What'd you guys say? No, Ducky, I don't. Wait, let me see what you said here. Trying to get the internet is working so slow. They never found out who Caylee's bio father was, did they? No. I mean, Casey said things, but how can you believe anything she says, right? Well, she abandoned that car near her parents' house. I guess she dumped her daughter, then dumped the car all near the parents' house. Her child in the car, Magnell says. How did she get back to where she was staying? No, Lucky, I don't believe they did because she said it was a man who had died. What did Lucky ask? Let me see what Lucky asked. Lucky. Oh, about the father. Yeah. Right. Gotcha. Megan, yes, I thought Casey had said it was a guy that died, yet she never gave his name. I think she did. I think she did. I think we went over, yeah, but who knows what, right? I wonder if she really knew who her father was in the first place. Lucky, I believe she did give a name, but they couldn't do DNA testing because Caylee and the man were deceased. I don't know. They could do testing. I believe they could. I don't know, unless they might have to exhume him. I don't know if they didn't have any other DNA on him somehow, right? I don't know. Casey got away with this, just like OJ. Texas EquiSearch sued Casey and was awarded $75K. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, been in shallow water too. Okay. Oh, let's get that word game going. And all of us suddenly, suddenly salad. No, otter. Right. Tot, it's hot. Okay. What else? Uh-oh, who did we lose? Order. No. Hey, Victoria. Trot and tread. Good to see you back, Victoria. We missed you. We were asking for you. Okay. What do you got there? Retro? No, yeah, we need 2 R's for that, right? Road, did I put road? I got that. Let's see. Tread, rod, trot. Let's try that. Trot, how about? Is it 2 T's? It is trotted. Okay. Tour, right? Tort. Okay. Row. Okay, toe, tot. G-O. doer, right? Let's see, road. Redo. Rotted. What could come after rotted? We did trotted. T- huh. What the heck could this be? Totter. Okay. All right, so totted and totter. Okay. Now just these other ones up here. Let's see. There should be, it's got to be a D. Deer. Doe, a deer, a female deer. We got it. Hey, trouble. Now. DR. No. So it'd be ET, call home. What is this one? We need a 3-letter word. ET, call home. Oh boy. Come on, please. What could this be? What could it be? Does anybody know this 3-letter word between, it's going to either start with, maybe it's, every time I was, okay, maybe it's another O, let's see. Ode, oh, it's ode, it's ode. Ode to Billy Joe McAllister. Jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Okay. Ouch. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. I love you. God bless. Be kind. Be well. Stay good. Stay golden. Love you guys. God bless. And I'll see you tomorrow. All right? Be good. I told you that already. Prayers for all that need them. We all need them. We really do. All right? Take care. Love you.